Hi, it's Star Green here, and I'm going to talk about the Virgo New Moon, August 27th, 2022. So the Virgo New Moon is at 4 degrees plus of Virgo, so if you have any planets, nodes, or angles at 4 degrees within, I'd say 5 degrees before, so even, okay, let's say down to 0 Virgo, to give it up 1 degree after, say 5 or 6 Virgo, then you're impacted most definitely by this eclipse. Now you can see it's a complicated, I have added more aspects in here than usual, but it is a pretty complicated Virgo new moon. So all new moons are new beginnings, and with Virgo, it is a new earthy, mutable, organized, intellectual, little OCD, budget conscious, health conscious new moon. So it would be a good time for you to focus on all those issues, decluttering, etc., etc. So it is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is at 1 degree of Libra. So Mercury at 1 degree of Libra is also connected in this chart to the asteroid Psyche. And Psyche is literally the soul. So this could be seen as very soul conscious, trying to balance. Libra is not about the balance, it's about trying to get the balance and hold the tension of the opposites. They're complementary opposites. So there's Mercury in Libra. So it's a very strong sense of relationships, of justice, of being detached. It's airy, it wants to talk about relationships, social media, interconnection, wants to be nice. And Mercury and Psyche are connected to something called the Great Attractor, okay, the super galactic Great Attractor, actually, which, again, these are space anomalies, but it's an important point, and I feel like it's important to mention it. Now, the big factor in this chart is, of course, that the Sun and Moon in Virgo are being squared by Mars. Okay, so Mars in Gemini, and Mars in Gemini is quite divisive. It's all about communications. It's about debating. It's about trying to choose sides. It's about being non-committal. It's about being young at heart. It's about being curious. Now Mars is going to be in Gemini for 7+ months. Okay, it just entered Gemini not that long ago. So it's irritating. Mars is the warrior planet. He wants to fight. So there's fighting words, and there's divisiveness. Again, we've had enough divisiveness, right? But it's friction, and people are going to be tense. And I think we've been feeling that tension for the last while. Also be aware of your upper digestion. I find that when Mars affects any planets in Virgo, that my upper digestion is very sensitive. Now, Mars is also conjunct CERN. There's an asteroid called CERN, and my intuition has been telling me that all those strange sunspots that we've been hearing about, sunspots and solar winds and big coronal holes, are being caused by CERN. That splitter of atom energy going on in CERN in Switzerland, in Geneva, Switzerland, doing all kinds of weird experiments looking for the God particle. Well, they are dealing with really super powerful electromagnetic fields, changes the electromagnetic fields on the Earth and in our body, and it does affect the weather as well, I believe. So tune into that energy. To me, this is really, really powerful. I do astrology, I trust my intuition, so there's some kind of divisive measure going on with Mars action, warriors, generals, people are running the world, the people at the top, and CERN. Okay, so I am concerned about that. Now, Venus, the planet of love and beauty and harmony. Now, if we go through what's called the dispositors, if the Sun and the Moon are in Virgo and Mercury is in Libra, because it rules Virgo, then the planet that rules Libra is the one that's what's called the final dispositor here, and it's Venus in Leo. So Venus in Leo at the 19th degree opposite Saturn retrograde at 20. So there's a lot of tension, there's restriction, there's responsibility in terms of creative self-expression. This is the time to take yourself seriously. If you want to start a podcast, if you want to start a conversation, you want to break out of your old routine, this would be a Venus-Saturn opposition. I know everybody thinks Saturn's very bad and a hard time, but Saturn is the builder, the architect. Okay, so we have to use Saturn. Saturn is, in this chart, based in Washington, D.C., in the 7th house, which is the house traditionally of committed relationships. So this would be a marriage proposal or a partnership proposal, or looking for a new job. Even Venus in Leo opens the heart. Saturn in Aquarius helps us to take a more detached, a higher consciousness view. Venus is also very close to Ceres, the Great Mother. She is the goddess of Virgo. And I was just inspired by another astrologer talking about Virgo as being the only sign which has a woman on it. There's not that many signs in Western astrology that have people, in fact, and she is the only goddess. So she represents Demeter, Ceres, the Great Mother, Isis, in all her millions of manifestations. So it's really about opening up to the divine feminine. Now, Virgo is the harvest, so we want to look at what we've harvested from where we've been, and also, what do we want to harvest in the future? So Venus and Ceres, so we want to love the earth. We want to love the earth with all our hearts. We want to love our hearts through being nice to our bodies as well. Virgo, very worried about health. Now, the other thing that's going on here, okay, is Saturn and Uranus are kind of back at their square that they were doing a lot of in 2021. Back at it again. They're very close together in the sky. So again, this is should I stay or should I go? And this is the Saturn Aquarius is the old-time religion, the old tradition, the Bible thumpers, even though it's Aquarius, which is supposedly revolutionary, it's not. And Uranus, the planet that rules Aquarius in modern astrology, Saturn rules Aquarius in traditional astrology. Uranus is trying to move to revolutionize the Earth. Taurus is the other Earth sign here. And so we can see this through farmers protesting all over the world, in Holland and in Canada, because their crops are being forced to, no fertilizer. They're blaming that on Ukraine. They're just trying to shut down food production, basically. And that's not a conspiracy. If you just look at it, you can see that's happening. And so there will be more food revolutions. I think this also can be a good thing, people growing locally. We don't want that to go into manufactured or cloned food, or dial up your AI, pills that look like something, and it's not about eating the bugs. Okay, what else have we got here? There's a nice blue triangle there. You can see the grand trine there, okay, from Mars and Gemini in air to Mercury and Psyche in Libra to Pluto in Aquarius. Now, it is out of sign, okay? It does make a grand trine. Pluto is not in Aquarius, not quite yet, but it will be quite soon. It will be entering Aquarius March 23rd, 23. So kind of an out of sign grand trine there. What else? Neptune, the planet of dreams, of spirituality, of escapism, of magic, of seances and psychic energy and lucid dreaming, and debt and oil and fantasy and Hollywood, is at 24 Pisces retrograde, and it is opposite Eros. So there's some kind of, it's in conjunct Eros, so there's some kind of a hidden erotic Leo heart energy here going on below the surface, which is maybe something that's really important to pay attention to, that blind spot. Are you kind of feeling like you have no passion these days? Neptune is sextiling Pluto and Capricorn again. Those two planets together, I feel, really were also responsible for creating COVID, because Pluto is the death bringer. Pluto is nearing his long journey through Capricorn, which he started in 2008, which started with the subprime mortgage collapse and probably will end the same way, if not worse. So Neptune rules viruses, Pluto sextile Neptune, they're supportive of each other, and then Pluto is also in conjunct Eros there. And Venus as well. So where are we not connecting to our erotic energy, our sense of feeling love everywhere? Eros is not just sexual energy, it's whatever turns us on, whether it's cooking or petting our cat or painting or dancing or whatever that is. It's life force energy, basically. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and opportunity, is in Aries at 7 degrees, and Jupiter is opposite Mercury and Psyche. Okay, so we want to think about those relationships. Okay, now remember, Mercury will go retrograde in the not too distant future. Okay, Mercury's going to turn retrograde. It's going to re-enter Virgo on the 23rd. It starts turning retrograde on the 9th. And so it will re-enter Virgo and stop in Virgo on October the 2nd, I believe. So we want to pay attention to that, because Mercury is already in its shadow period, which means it's already past the degrees at which it's going to turn about. Okay. Mercury enters Libra again on the 10th, and Mercury stations direct on the 2nd. Okay, just want to make sure I have that right. Okay. The other major aspect, Venus is squaring Uranus, so your love life, your values, your heart might be feeling like it's having flip-floppy palpitations. You might be feeling quite exhausted. Uranian energy is like lightning. So again, the speed of which you're digesting things, because Taurus, all the earth signs have to do with body processes. So kind of chaotic, weird energy spurts, maybe, up and down and all around. But it can bring chaos, of course. Uranus is like the light bringer. It's like Prometheus, really, stealing fire from the gods. Uranus square Venus is like your love life, how you creatively express yourself. It can really open yourself up to new ways of creativity, though, which can be really, really powerful. But lots of chaos in your love life, okay? Again, this Virgo New Moon is about a new beginning. We're planting new seeds of what we want to harvest, let's say 6 months from now, 9 months from now, 12 months from now. And so you want to think about that, okay? Now, the other things that are going on here, there's also another inconjunct between Uranus and the North Node. Uranus has been conjunct the North Node for the last little while, and that's important because the North Node is where the collective needs to expand towards. So the North and the South Node are always opposite, of course, so the Uranus and the North Node are inconjunct to something called the Great Attractor, which is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. Again, this is a big space anomaly, and it's galactic astrology, and so it's a fairly new field, but because Uranus has to do with higher consciousness, this would be a good time to look at. Again, these are blind spots, and inconjunct is when the planets are at 150 degrees, 5 signs apart. They don't see each other. They're in different elements. This is like fire and earth. But try to tune into, what am I missing out here? What am I not seeing? Uranus is sextile Lilith. Lilith in Cancer, sitting on the U.S. sun, sitting on the fixed star Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. So the rejected feminine, the shadow of the feminine, is what we need to pay attention to. And again, Uranus, radical, revolutionary, women breaking through the glass ceilings, through all the ceilings. I think women are feeling very angry these days and are tired of playing nice. Not that they want to be jerks, but they're just tired of, being forced into those roles and accepting being in those roles. So Lilith, again, in conjunct this Great Attractor. So the Great Attractor can bend light, it can attract anything to it. So that's a real manifestator, because the whole thing about manifestation, we didn't come here to manifest Lamborghinis or anything like that. It's not about acquiring things in the material realm. That's more like you want to play that, okay, but it's not really serious. You can't take it with you. It doesn't really count, and it's certainly not spiritual. Chiron, the wounded healer, is at the 15th degree of Aries, and when planets are at the 15th mid-degrees of any sign, they are at their most powerful. So that's the peak of a wave there. Chiron is, again, in conjunct to the South Node in Scorpio at 16 degrees. So again, we might be hurting where we're not looking at what kind of toxic energies, unconscious desires, jealousy, the need to control, that we can't get rid of, that we're just keep holding on, and expecting things to change, but we're not doing anything different. What else have we got here? Yeah, that's CERN, Jupiter, sextile CERN, and Mars. So again, Jupiter in Aries has a lot of energy. Now Jupiter is retrograde. So retracing our energy, our passion, our anger, what's making us angry these days, it's really important to express that anger. What else have we got here? Juno, the feminine form of genius, is fairly close to Neptune as well. And those two together are in conjunct Eros, again, I think I mentioned that, and Pluto. So you can see there's a couple of these major yods here, these where they form this point here. There's one there between Uranus and the North Node, Lilith in Ceres, and this Great Attractor. And there's another one here, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, making this yod or finger of God to Eros. So Eros in Leo, which is also connected to, which the Sun and the Moon are also connected to The fixed star Regulus, which in modern tropical astrology moved into Virgo a number of years ago. So that's why royalty has married commoners and why that kind of hierarchy will be over soon. So think about Regulus. It's heart opening. It is courageous. It's got strength. So where do you need to bring strength into your life? Again, there's blind spots here about what we're really strong about. Neptune in Pisces is really about plumbing the depths of our dreams, of our intuition, about being able to envision ourselves anywhere, in any dimension, at any time. I'm seeing people throwing out things like those, click words like time jumping and things like that. But, whatever you imagine, excuse me, is real to some extent, but there are levels of dimensions and realities, okay? And just because we imagine it, our imagination plays tricks on us. That's the nature of Neptune. It's a magician. So we have to pay attention and be able to discern, there's that word discern again, what's real and what's an illusion. That's why Mercury, the planet that rules Virgo, is the trickster planet as well. So we have to be able to be aware of our blind spots, or where we're lying to ourselves, or there's something that we don't want to see, which trips us up. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Athena, the battle goddess, she's at 25 Gemini. That's connected to the North Star. So you need to have a plan. You need to have a battle plan here. She is in conjunct Pluto. Now, I didn't draw that on, but as I'm looking at the chart here, I'm kind of tuning into more things there. She is also trining Vesta, close to Saturn in Aquarius. So Vesta is the root word of the goddess of investments. She is the focus goddess. She is usually related to Virgo. Although they were fire keepers, the Vestal virgins had nothing to do with being chaste sexually. Virgin goddesses are parthenogenic goddesses that can self-reproduce parthenogenically. That's what it means. So the Vestal virgins served in the temples. They kept the light focused. I mean, there's a kind of virginity, meaning that we're whole into ourselves. And there's this, again, Vesta is about focus and investments, Aquarius. So the crypto market, the digital market, NFTs, all of that stuff, that's very much Aquarian energy. And so Athena in Gemini at conjunct the North Star is trining that energy and Saturn. So there's new ways of thinking about things, new ways of opening up, new ways of conceiving things. There's that word as well. So Venus conjunct Ceres is very fertile. Actually, I want to go back to that. If you want to get pregnant, that would be a good energy to do it on, opposite Saturn and Aquarius. Again, there's a lot of sense of revolution and freedom here, and higher consciousness, and really breaking through the old structures, thinking about breaking through the old structures. Okay. Again, Virgo, the virgin goddess. Think about the ancient goddesses, the earth. There's a lot of talk about climate change, but really we have to just honor the earth. It's about not polluting the earth. We have to have a relationship with this living goddess, Gaia, the earth. David Suzuki, the famed Canadian ecologist, has been warning people since the 70s, he's in his 80s now, that we're out of balance with the earth plane, okay? And so remember that Mercury, the ruling planet of this Virgo new moon, is in Libra conjunct Psyche. We have to be much more intuitive and to feel, is this right intuitively? And the intuition is related to water. It's related to feminine energy, not the mind, okay? Again, the U.S. is still in its first Pluto return. It's had 2 exact conjunctions at 27 plus degrees. There's going to be another one right at the end of this year. So again, Pluto is still demolishing things, taking things apart, taking things out of our lives that are not meant to grow our souls the way we would really want them to. So my sense is watch your energy. South Node in Scorpio, big release time, letting go. There are things we cannot control. And I think that letting go of control and our ego helps us to open up in new ways of seeing. And a lot of compassion. I think it's good to be bigger than we are, bigger than our lower selves at this point as well. Virgo is humble. So having humility is really important. One of the major things about spiritual practice is to transcend your ego. You need an ego because it's the locus of your identity, but it's not all about me, me, me. Okay, because we're not islands, we're not alone. We're all interconnected with everything. So do something nice for your body. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's almost like ready to go back to school time. Get organized, declutter, take care of whatever, financial, material resources, take accountability, take inventory, assess your health. Again, in the Northern Hemisphere here, because we're not that far away from the first day of autumn, which is September 21st, you still have time to do cleanses. If you have a backyard garden or whatever, it's harvest time. You're getting ready to see the fruits of your labor abundantly, and you want to store things up for the winter now. I know it seems like it's much too short, of course. That's always my sense of it. So look at the complexity here. You can see this big red, the big, square there. Okay, the big square is a fixed grand cross. So it's tense. Things are tense right now. With Venus and Leo, we want to party, we want to go out and have fun. There's Saturn and Aquarius maybe being the stick in the mud going, You have to pay attention to your bills, you have to take care of business, you have to be grounded. I think the Virgo New Moon reminds us to be grounded. And we came here as spiritual beings to be in the body, to embody, the soul, our spirit on the earth plane. Okay, so pay attention to all of the degree numbers. Let's see, there's a lot of planets around mid-degrees, more or less. Juno, the feminine form of genius, at 17 Pisces, the North Node at 16 Taurus, Uranus at 18, Venus at 19. So those kind of degrees keep repeating. The South Node at 16, Ceres at 15. So again, those mid-degree kind of planets there are affected by all of this. So I want to wish you a beautiful new moon. Think about what you've harvested since the spring, as we really are getting ready to go through fall. We still have another 3 weeks or so. Think about the fruits of your labor. How is it manifested? Now remember that Mars is going to be retrograde for a long, long time. So there's going to be a big slowdown coming up. Also, Jupiter is going to re-enter Pisces the end of October for 2 months. So the fall is going to be a much slower period, although I find time has been doing some really weird things these days. Today was an incredibly slow as molasses day. The day before it went by like there was, no tomorrow. So time is doing these big, it feels like, some people would say that's dimensions shifting and we're gearing up to go higher, but there's definitely some fluctuations in the time field. So just be very conscious of how you want the time to go for you. Okay. And again, that Athena in Gemini conjunct to the North Star. What is your North Star? What is guiding you? Invest, Vesta, Saturn, make it real. Do something to help amplify, that warrior strength. Okay, Athena, city of Athens, is built in her honor again. She's a parthenogenesis goddess. Back to that. So if you want to get in touch with me, I'm at taratarot.com. I want to wish you all the best blessings. Also tomorrow, Venus will oppose Saturn. Exactly, you can see it kind of moving in there, but that tension is still there already. So yeah, taratarot.com. Let me know how you're doing. Follow me on my blog at infinitynow.wordpress.com as well. Sending you many blessings.